don't have to carry the bag. Do you believe this? I had discussed it with my caseworker, and I told her I'm going to have to go to my mom's, and she understands. She gets it. Remember, she's known me a long time, okay? Remember, I've been in the same place off and on for 5 years, okay? I don't have to carry the bag. Of course, one of the staff members today was like, well, first my caseworker's just letting me keep it in her office, but she's going to get me permission, you know. Remember I told you before that she said she couldn't? She's going to get me permission. I don't have to carry the bag. Because I told her, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go stay with my mom. It's a lesser of two evils. It's not good, and she understands. She understands that I shouldn't be staying with my mother. You know what I mean? It's not good for my mother or for me. I don't have to carry the bag. I told her that I would rather be in that place. I would rather be in there. I would much rather than be with my mom. I can visit her once a week. I mean, think about it. I tell her, you know, Mom, I'm drinking too much. I drank a whole pint of vodka Monday, a whole pint of vodka Friday, and a Steel Reserve beer 24 ounce. And know what she says to me? Oh, she talks about she wants us to go to karaoke. So maybe I'll come sometime on the weekend, or maybe I'll you know what I mean? But my caseworker understands. And one of the staff this morning was like, why do you get to do this? And I'm like, it's written down in my files. And, you know, why are you questioning? What, are you going to question my caseworker's authority? Because she knows. She gets it. She gets that I'm not just in physical pain from carrying around the goddamn bag. I'm in psychological pain that intensifies when I'm with my mother. It doesn't get better. It gets worse. Okay? Especially, you know, she couldn't even plug in her damn charger. I asked my caseworker, why couldn't my mom do that? She's like, she must have forgot. I'm like, well, don't you think that breaks my heart? She couldn't plug the plug into her charger, the little thing like she knows how to do. And probably because she was agitated. Remember, she was upset with me because she had found me a perfect place. And you just want to be in that shelter? Yeah, I do. Until I can find something better, I do want to be in this shelter, Mom, where I can have intellectual conversation, where I don't have to be filled with rage constantly. I don't have to hear you talking about Marion and her sons and how she's putting down a house for $8,000. Now this one's getting married in a couple of months, and you're going to the wedding. Meanwhile, you're supposed to be fighting Marion, and she's not even going to be your friend anymore, probably. But my case was like, Marion, she can't stand Marion. She's been appalled with Marion. She was appalled with Marion 5 years ago. Think how she feels about Marion now. She says, Marion's not going to relinquish her control. She's not just going to step back and let your mom dissolve that power of attorney. I'm like, no shit. But does my mom understand that? And my caseworker was like, no, and you can't tell her, there's no point. Yeah, okay. But, as I said to her, I'm feeling carrying this bag in my knees, in my back, in my neck, everything. I have to go to my mom's. I don't have a choice. She's like, you can keep your bag in my office, and I'm going to look into you getting it permanent. Okay? And I was in shock. I'm so used to, I told my mom, this caseworker's the real deal. Even Cheryl, I thought Cheryl was the real deal. And look what Cheryl did to me. You know what my mom said to me last night? Cheryl's wondering why you haven't called her. Cheryl's wondering why I haven't called her? That would be like Bobby wondering why I haven't contacted him. He was supposed to, remember, he says when he didn't bother to look, he didn't even bother to look, it was only in a few blocks. He didn't feel like it, okay? I was good to him. I thought he was the real deal. He didn't feel like looking for my crock pot, and that was just add insult to injury. You leave me at the mercy of evil, and you take my crock pot, because if your girlfriend, your fiancé, whatever, packing it up the things, and she doesn't know it's mine, but you knew, and they'd only done a few boxes that day. And he didn't bother to look, didn't care. Did not fucking care. Insult to injury, okay? I thought he was the real deal. No. Cheryl is asking my mom. My mom says last night, Cheryl's wondering why you haven't called her. And then my mom says, Cheryl's sorry. I'm like, did she tell you she was sorry? There's a difference between Cheryl saying she didn't, but my mom will do that. Oh, she's sorry. My mom has said that. My mom said that about my dying aunt, too. Mom, this goes further than sorry. She always believes Marion, and the proof even of that is my mom tried to tell a mutual friend that they've both known since they were kids about what Marion has done to me, and that friend didn't want to hear it. That friend was like, oh, so-and-so, the one who died last summer, she told me all about how Laura fights with Marion. Nobody knows the fucking truth, okay? I'd rather be in the fucking shelter, rather be in there than with my mother and deal with her having to say, don't you say anything bad about so-and-so. She's my friend. She's the only friend in the park, but she gave Marion that letter that I gave to her person. I don't care. I don't care about that letter. Who cares about the $1,700? Yeah. Who cares? Because she's my friend, and we're going to go out to karaoke, and we're going to drink, and you know what I mean? And it doesn't matter that you're downing pints of vodka at a time. No, of course not, Laura. You know, it's like, that's what I have to deal with my mom. And my caseworker gets it. She's the real deal. I thought Cheryl was the real deal, but Cheryl screamed at me, and she was having a bad day. My mom says, I don't care. I've been having a permanent bad day for the past 5 years, and I don't take it out on other people. You know, she was having a bad day. I don't care. She told me, don't you ever call here again. I owe you nothing. You don't even go here like your mom does. Your mom is my client, not you, and blah, 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 whatever. Fine. You had a moral obligation. Fine. I don't care either. I don't care either. Seriously. Oh, I thought there was no fucking sun. Of course, there has to be sun, you know? Just fucking figures. Anyway. That's great news, huh? I don't have to carry around the bag, but I won't believe it till it happens, you know? It's just like that woman, Stacy, you know? She's positive that a lawyer's going to take my case. Yeah, sure. She hasn't even been back. She hasn't even been back. Never even had the courtesy to leave me a message, you know? I don't understand people, but anyway, I wrote this to my caseworker. Dear Sarah, I gave it to her because she was working, and I gave it to her afterwards, you know. Today you lifted a huge weight, in capital letters, off my shoulders. I'm severely depressed, but people as kind as you have always been towards me give me hope. Thank you for caring. Obviously she cares. She had forgotten about my bulging disc. She had forgotten that I actually, last time I was in the shelter, I went into the hospital, and she doesn't even know. And I told her, I can get you all the paperwork. I can get you the paperwork that I was in the hospital, that even when I got out and was staying, the first night I was at my mom's, she had to call the emergency because I was in agony. And I'm not lying. I'm in pain carrying that bag. But of course, the stupid, you know, the staff member this morning being nosy. I'm like, look at my file. Why should I, you know, I'm not lying. I would get caught. What am I saying, that I can put my bag in her office when I really can't? You're ridiculous. I'm thinking to myself. And I'm saying, look at my file. Oh, well, I could look in your file. Why don't you just tell me? Because you're asking me in front of everybody, and it's very complicated. It's none of your business. You want to look at my file? Fine. You know? But I don't have to sit here and tell you out loud. And even if I tell you because I'm in pain, because, you know, she wrote down that I have a bulging disc and I have appointments and I'm in pain, whatever. But the fact of the matter is, it's very complicated. She understands that I shouldn't be going back to live with my mom. And she knows I'm in pain because she knows I don't want to go live with my mom. And I told her I have to. I don't have a choice. I'm not going to have all this shit when I did nothing wrong cause my back to fuck up again. And I'm feeling it. Even though I stretched in the park for an hour and I exercised, you know, I'm still feeling it carrying that bag. And she lifted the bag. She goes, oh, yeah, that's heavy. I'm sure it gets heavy carrying it all around all day. I'm like, yeah. And even now, this purse isn't big enough. And even now, the purse is still heavy because I have all those papers that I was supposed to show Stacy, who never even could have the courtesy to call me. Couldn't even have the courtesy to call me. She hasn't called me since. I listened to my message yesterday. And she hasn't left me any kind of message. She hasn't been back. I don't know what's going on with her. But you really think someone like that is going to be dependable and reliable and actually show up, or, you know, just going to disappoint me and disappoint me and disappoint me, destroy my fucking life?